Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. Pretty Pink Posh's latest release is just jam-packed with the cutest stencils, stamps, dies, and embellishments perfect for spring and Easter. I was so excited when they asked me to guest design this month, so first we're going to flip through the products that they sent so you can see what I'll be working with today. Let's start with the embellishments because that's how I first discovered Pretty Pink Posh. This is the Easter Delight Clay Confetti. They have Pansy purple pearls and Limeade pearls as well. I also have the butterfly shaker die and I have the Hoppy Easter script dies. These cut out both words. There's also the smile script die, and these are the Easter circles. There's a stamp set and coordinating dies with cute images inside a circle that you can cut out. Then there are the layered butterflies. This is a 3-pack of stencils. Easter signs has some cute little Easter graphics holding up little spring signs. And there's the Happy Days stencils, which is also a 3-pack of stencils. There's also the Hugs stamp set and coordinating dies. I love those teeny tiny little images that make up the Hugs words, and then you have some of the images enlarged on the side as well. Now let's use those adorable supplies to make some cards. Okay, for this card we're going to start with the Happy Days layering stencils, and I'm going to use some pink tape behind an A2 piece of white cardstock to hold that stencil in place. I'm using Waffle Flowers shader brushes because these layering stencils have several images on each layer. Now, of course, you could do each stencil layer a different color, but I thought it would be really fun to just get in there and do each rainbow arc in picked raspberry distress oxide ink and then choose another color for the butterflies. So for the butterflies, I'm actually using salvaged patina distress oxide ink. And you can already see how the image is coming together and how much fun it is to be able to use different colors on each image. So it's just going to create a very multicolor background this way. So I'm going to peel off that first layer, and layering up the second layer is very easy because it's the butterfly bodies and then the second arc of the rainbow. So for here, I'm going to use Distress Oxide Chipped Sapphire to just color in those butterfly bodies. Now, as you can see, that flat brush that I'm using fits in those small areas really easily, which is really nice and makes it a lot easier to cover up the stencil. Plus you use a lot less ink because you're only coloring in the open spaces. You're not wasting ink all over the top of the stencil. So using some type of small detailed blending brush is my preferred way to color in these layered stencils. And you can see again that image is starting to really come together now. Okay, for the suns on this last layer of the stencils, I'm going to use Distress Oxide in Squeezed Lemonade. So depending on the shape of the opening of the stencil, you can use a round detailed blending brush or a flat detailed blending brush, anything that's small enough just to cover up that area that you're trying to color in. And now I have the rainbow completed, the suns, the hearts, and the butterflies. I did trim it down to about 4 by 5.25. I'm going to put some Thermoweb Memory Runner XL, which is my favorite tape runner, behind that panel and layer it on some nice cardstock. I did cut out the smile die. It's a nice script font, 3 times out of navy cardstock, and I'm going to layer it up just using a little bit of liquid adhesive between each layer, and the liquid adhesive I'm using has a slower dry time, so you can see me working it into place. The little dot is pretty small, but I did not lose it. So I'm really excited that this card was so much fun and colorful to create. Okay, for this next card, I am going to use the butterfly shaker die, but I'm not going to make any shakers on this card. I'm going to make a slimline card, and I'm going to use 3 die cuts of different colors of cardstock of that butterfly shaker die. I'm going to use some liquid adhesive behind the whole little die cut that I created there. And then I'm going to add some liquid adhesive inside the openings of the wings. And since I started with the light blue color, I'm going to use the pink color that I cut out to fill in those top portions of the wings, and then use the navy that I cut out to fill the bottom. So I have 3 different colors, and I'm mixing and matching the outline and then the interior of both wings. I did want these butterflies kind of whimsically placed, not straight across. So I have them at an angle here, but I just wanted to make sure I could fit that last one in. Again, I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive to the opening of the wings of the navy butterfly. This time I'm using the pink at the bottom and the light blue at the top. And this is just a very, very basic die cut inlay, right? So just super, super simple because there's only 4 pieces to put inside and it's nice and large. That is my kind of die cut inlay. So the last one is going to be hanging off the side just a little bit like the first one was, and same exact thing. This time I'm using navy on the top of the pink outline and light blue at the bottom. So this is just a fun way to use a shaker die. You don't always have to use it to create a shaker. You can create just the outline as well and fill it in with the other pieces. I love those pearls, so I decided to use them on the butterfly bodies. And the cool thing about these pearls is that you get 3 different sizes in this pack, and you can see it's a ton of pearls. So I have the large ones, and then as the butterfly body got smaller, I used a medium size and then the smaller size as well. And I'm just using dots of liquid adhesive. You don't need a ton of adhesive, just a little dot of the liquid adhesive, and I'm using a little embellishment tool to place the pearls. I again die cut that Smile script die cut out of navy cardstock, and I'm just going to pop the eye out of the die onto some glue, which is a really easy way to line it up. And then I use my Spellbinders tool-in-one because it's got that good pokey edge at the bottom to move that into place. And then I just trimmed it down a little bit so that it was mostly the butterflies in the center. But now for this card, I am going to use that butterfly shaker die as it was intended to make a shaker. But we're going to start with the layering butterflies stencils. So I'm starting with the first stencil, which is labeled A, and just adhering the cardstock down to the back of that stencil with a little bit of pink tape. This time I want to use the same color on the entire stencil. So all of the butterfly backgrounds are going to be Distress Oxide Wild Honey. So this time I'm using an ergonomic blending brush to get down a nice, soft, even, consistent blend on these butterflies. And when you peel that back, that's just such a happy, hopeful color. I just absolutely love it. Okay, here's the second layer of stencils. This is B. I'm going to use the same pink tape, but I am going to just reapply some pressure. So this tape really stays stuck down if you apply the pressure. If you just gently put it on, it's going to come right off. You have to put a little pressure on it to make it stick. Now, there are 3 different types of details for wings on these butterflies. So for the first color, I'm using Distress Oxide Abandoned Coral. Then for the second color, I'm going to use a little bit of Maude Lawn here. There was some darker color on this brush. I think it was Rustic Wilderness or something. So I just wiped a little extra off on a scrap of paper just to get it so I could use the lighter color. You can wash them as well with some water. I just was lazy, so I was just going to wipe off that excess color. The last color I used was Carved Pumpkin, and you can see I was using a smaller brush here because I had a smaller area to work on those stencils. So now we're just ready for the last stencil, which is C, which is the butterfly bodies. I am covering them all up with Kitsch Flamingo, but like I mentioned, if you use a small brush like this, you don't waste as much ink because you don't have to cover the entire stencil. I went every other one with Picked Raspberry so that even the bodies had different colors of ink on them. And it's just such a bright, fun, colorful background to work with. Okay, I am going to use a little bit of some yellow cardstock to mat that panel on top of. You can see I cut the butterfly out of that yellow cardstock as well. It doesn't matter because this is going to go onto a card base. And I'm going to use the yellow as the base of the butterfly. This is my guide, and I'm going to work my way up from there. So I'm going to fill in those wings with yellow on the top and pink on the bottom. So I'm using the same kinds of colors that I used on the ink blending of the stencil. Now I'm going to put a little liquid adhesive just around the frame of that butterfly, so that stitched area. I've cut white fun foam out of the butterfly twice. So I'm going to adhere my first layer of white fun foam down on that yellow layer of the butterfly, and then I'm going to put some liquid adhesive right on top of that and lay my second layer of fun foam on top of that one. Now I'm going to kind of let this dry for a little bit and work on the window. I'm using a Sharpie, a really ultra thin Sharpie, to outline the butterfly die, because if I cut it out of my acetate, it's just going to cut the frame, and I need the whole thing. I need a whole panel so that I can create my shaker window. So that's why I'm outlining it in some Sharpie on a piece of acetate, and then I'm just going to fussy cut it out. Very, very simple. I'm using some Tim Holtz, those little snips, and just cutting around on the inside of that marker because I don't want to see any of that marker line on this window. Okay, now I have that Easter Delight mix of confetti. The only thing I don't want is the chicks in this particular shaker die. I'm going to use the chicks later. So I just grabbed those little chicks out, and then I had kind of this sherbety mix of clay confettis to put inside the butterfly wings. So each wing is kind of its own shaker, each part of each wing. And I'm going to add a few of those Limeade pearls as well. The only thing with the pearls is I like the top side up, obviously, the pearl side up. So I did have to place those individually so that I would be sure that you could see the pearl side of that. Now I'm going to place some liquid adhesive on the top of that fun foam, and then I'm going to lay my acetate right on that. Now you can see I didn't cut the little antennas out of the acetate, so don't put any adhesive on that. And now I have a final die cut of the butterfly in orange cardstock, and this is going to cover up that white fun foam because that is not as much fun as a nice bright orange butterfly with colorful wings and shaker goodies inside, right? So I'm just going to place that down. Like I said, this liquid adhesive has some dry time, so you could move it into place. I did die cut the script smile die out of the fun foam as well because I wanted my sentiment to pop up off the butterfly. And then I cut it, that same sentiment, out of some silver glitter cardstock and laid that right on top of the fun foam. And you can see I have even the little dot of the eye of the fun foam, and you can see the top of my head trying to get that right in place. But this was such a fun, bright shaker to create and so easy. Okay, for this next card, I'm going to do a little bit of coloring. So I have a whole rainbow of colors. These are Arteza markers. I've used them before in videos. I really like the bright colors of this set. So I'm going to use the entire rainbow of colors on this Hugs stamp. So you can see that the letters are formed by tiny little images. There's not a ton of room for blending in these little images, so you don't have to stress about blending. Just get some bright colors on there or some pastel colors or whatever your favorite color combination is, and enjoy just filling in those little guys because they are super tiny and they make up just the cutest font of Hugs. Now for the larger hearts, stars, clouds, for this one I'm going to create a shine mark by drawing a circle on the heart and leaving it white. I'm going to use my lightest color. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to kind of shade the left hand side. So the right hand side is my lightest side and the left hand side is my darkest side. Then I come in with the light color and blend away that line. So this is just an idea of easy blending and shading. And then once you fill the whole thing in, that spot that was white is going to stay the lightest spot on your heart. So that's just one way to do quick and dirty shading and blending. And I like to go over it one more time just to really make sure all the lines are blended out. Another way is to use your lightest color with clouds. I like to do circles or curlicues to create the look of a cloud. And then I'm going to outline the bottom right up against the black of the stamp, and then I'm going to go in and shade that line out. So that's another way that you can create blending and shading And another way is to use two different colors. So for this flower, I'm coloring it in with a yellow, and yellows are hard to blend two different colors. They kind of get lost in each other. So you can use like an orange, which is not a yellow obviously, but will blend out to a yellow once you go over it with that lighter yellow color. So I'm just blending out that little bit of orange that I put on the interior parts of the petals by scrubbing out that line. So that's another way. And I'm just going to use some of that same pink tape and cut out all those little die cuts. And then I'm going to cut out the hugs die out of white fun foam as well, because I want to make sure that this really stands out from my card. When I am adhering paper to foam, I do use just tiny little dots of liquid adhesive all over that bottom letter there, because I don't want a ton of liquid adhesive. That will warp your paper. So you really want to use a tiny amount, but you want to make sure it's from side to side, edge to edge, top to bottom, so that the paper doesn't curl up or tear off the letter. And last thing I'm going to do there is use a little bit of white gel pen just for some accents and details. I'm going to adhere a 4 by 5¼ piece of white cardstock down on an A2 piece of black cardstock for a nice pop. And then I'm going to use a really cheap T ruler to line these letters up. So this T ruler, seriously, I think was like $3. And I love to use it for these types of things. So these letters, I definitely think I would notice it if they were not straight. Usually I can just eyeball things and it doesn't bother me, but something like this, I feel like if it were tilting upward or downward, it would bug me. So I have the larger images cut out and colored as well. And last but not least, I'm using some sparkling clear confetti mix. This is not part of the current Pretty Pink Posh release, but these are my absolute favorite. And when I buy them, you can see I buy them in like 2 or 3 bags at a time because I use them so much. We're going to do some more coloring for this card. So I did stamp all of the circle images out so I could decide what I wanted to use. I stamped them with Gina K amalgam ink so I could color them in with alcohol markers, and I stamped them on Hefty Doodle paper so that I could blend really easily if I needed to. I am going to color in the 3 little Easter eggs here with some bright colors. Again, these are pretty small. You could do a little bit of shading and blending here, but I just decided to color them in. And then I am using just some swipes from a light green from bottom to top to make some little bits of grass that these little eggs are sitting in. I'm going to use some pink tape to hold the die in place and then die cut that out. I also die cut the stitched circle from the set and the green kind of label from the set. Now I'm grabbing the bunny from the Easter signs set. It's okay to mix and match sets. I thought this would be really cute since I'm using the sentiment Hoppy Easter and I have the little eggs. I thought I would color a bunny and then cut off his body. I know that sounds terrible, but I just want the little head peeking out from the side. So I'm going to adhere the eggs down to the little blue stitch circle with some tape runner, and then I'm going to pop up that blue stitched circle on that label background, and I'm not going to use any foam tape where the bunny is because I want to be able to tuck him right underneath on that upper right hand side there. So just so that you can just see his little head peeking out from the side, and then tape runner on the label once again. So this is going to go right in the center of the card. You can see the Hoppy Easter script die I cut out of a couple of different colors. I was going to layer them. I actually just liked it in 2 different colors, one on the top and one on the bottom, and I just used liquid adhesive to adhere those down. Super, super cute, and a little butterfly from the other set as well. And I'm just using some clear liquid adhesive on top of parts of the egg to make them stand out. This is from Lawn Fawn. I'm just trying it out and we'll see how I like it, but it does add lots of shine and dimension here. For this next card, I stamped a bunch of the little critters from the Easter signs, and when I do that, I use my Debbie tool to get lots of good pressure all over the top of the Misty. Now, this time I am doing a little bit of blending and shading just so that I can see a little bit of difference in these little chicks' face. not too crazy, but a little bit here and there so that they kind of look a little dimensional. And I just, again, love the bright colors from this marker set that I am using today. So these were perfect for these images. Now the little signs come with little sentiments that you can stamp right inside. This one says Happy Spring. There's also Happy Easter, and you are special for the little lamb. So this time I'm going to create a shaker card by cutting out the shape of that label from the coordinating circles die, and I'm putting tape runner all around it because I don't want anything to get out of that shaker. So I'm just going to lay this down on an A2 piece of acetate, and I am going to trim it to 4 by 5 1/4. Then I'm going to take foam tape and create a rectangle around the window. I don't want to cover up anything on the window, obviously, because then you'll see it from the front, but I do want all of these pieces to touch each other, so when they don't, I do add a little extra piece inside. Now I'm going to just pour in the little clay confetti that is so cute, and the chicks are double-sided, so just pour away and you'll see their little faces regardless. So I'm going to peel off those back protective layers, and then I'm going to line up, just making sure that it's even on both sides and on the top and bottom if I can, that back piece, and that's going to trap everything inside. Now I have all those little Easter signs, critters, little chicks, butterflies, and they're all adhered on the front of that little shaker window using some foam adhesive to pop them up, and I love the little chicks inside the window as well. I had so much fun playing with these new supplies from Pretty Pink Posh, but I always love to hear what your favorite is, so let me know in the comments below. And if you love checking out new supplies before you decide to buy, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell so you can be notified every time I have a new video available. As always, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. What? I don't even know, really. To this day, it still sounds weird coming out of my mouth. Available. I just need to let it go. Okay, that was fast.